Hi everyone, this is just a little film I think I need to do for a few of you. Now, as you can see from this distance, I've started to go in with my darks, then my midtones, and then some of my lights. And from a distance it looks like, oh, she's starting to, I've only worked like this area here really. It looks like I'm starting to build up some nice fur texture. Now, for those working on Pastelmat, yep, you'd think, okay, this is how they do it, this is what it looks like on the screen. Now I'm going to zoom in. Zoom all the way in. Can you see here? So I'm going to lower it down a tiny bit. Okay, you can see it more where, there you go, that's perfect. Oops. So, okay, you can see it more here when I've used a light pencil. This is the grainy, gritty surface. Now I know that some people, when they're using Pastelmat, leave it at this point. It looks great from a distance, but for me, personally, this is where you've got to be brave, and when I say we're going to take it back to dark and work our way back up through our midtones, that is what we're going to do. So let me just demonstrate for you. I'm going to pull out some of my undertones again. And what we're going to do is just lay them down again. So let's come in first of all here, just break up some of this again with some of our dark pencil. And this is what I mean, just don't be scared to work dark to light, and this is what I mean when I say knock it all back to dark again. If I zoom in, you should be able to see that graininess. Just rub this pencil over that area. I want to get rid of this. I want it to be super soft and smooth and fluffy, just like the dog fur. I don't want it gritty and grainy. And this is where your patience come in. For those of you that are new to Pastelmat, you've got to trust me, you've got to trust the paper. You've got to trust that these light layers, see where I'm holding my pencil? So I'm holding my pencil about halfway up, so very light pressure still. And this is when I say to you, have confidence, have faith. So I'm going to take all of that area pretty much back to dark. And it's not dark in the photo, obviously, but this is just to prove a point almost. This is what I mean when I say take it back to dark. I've rubbed that. This is a Pablo Umber, which is probably the darkest brown in my Pablo range. So now I'm going to come up into my midtone. So I've got here Caput Mortem, Polychromo Caput Mortem. Add a few touches of this in. I might even just go in with tiny touch dark indigo in here. I might grab the Caput Mortem Violet as well because it is slightly darker. Making sure I'm staying on camera for you. Okay, I'll just grab my Caput Mortem Violet now as well. I usually refer to this Caput Mortem Violet and the dark indigo as being in my darks. And what I'm doing here, I'm just repeating my previous layers, popping them back in. So I've gone up, started with darks, I've worked my way up to lights, and now it's really grainy, so I'm just going to repeat the process, and I'll keep repeating the process. So even when I've done this, if after this I come up to light and it's still grainy, basically with each layer that you do, each time you do a sweep like this, as I say, top to bottom, work dark to light, it will get smoother. And also, how I describe it is your piece refines that little bit more. Okay, so now I'm going to go in with the burnt ochre. And take the burnt ochre over everywhere that I can see patches of burnt ochre. And I know that once I've done this, I can see already that I will have to repeat this at least once more. And this is where those of you that are new to Pastelmat or have tried Pastelmat, got frustrated because you couldn't create that lovely smooth effect that you're seeing others doing, you need to just push your layers like this. Just push, push, push through those layers. So I'm keeping my pencil on the paper here, backwards and forwards. And it's just about building pigment until you'll feel it. I always say as well that Pastelmat is a very tactile surface. It's not so much about what you can see. Don't worry so much about what you can. It's more about what you can feel. See, all that grain is still there. I'm going to zoom in. It's getting less as I've built up this ochre here. It's less, but see those light areas? It's still really grainy there. I'm just going to come in. I'm looking at the underlying tones. I've just picked up Caran d'Ache. This is Pablo. If I could read it, I wish they would change the way that they put their colour names on. It's mahogany. Okay, so I'm adding a touch of mahogany in here just so I can rub a little bit of pigment over the top of those light areas. It's just about building pigment. Don't go in and press super hard either. Just lots and lots and lots and lots and lots and lots. Back and forth building. If you want to do it stroke by stroke, absolutely fine. I tend to reserve my sharp pencils and my fine strokes for right at the end. And I'm just going to go into that area as well with like a tiny touch. This is mouse grey. It's quite a bluish, lightish grey. Add a little touch of that in here as well. Not too much. And a little touch as well of raw umber. Okay, I'm working quite quickly because I want to get to the point where I can just go back in with these light coloured pencils again. Tiny bit more if I could put them on some violet. And if you think about every time this pencil passes over an area, so up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, that is a layer of pencil. You can just see how much this is taking. Right, okay, so I'm going to flick back now to those lighter colour pencils. I just need to sharpen up one of them quickly. Okay. So I've got my ash grey and I've also got my cream from the Pablo's range. So now I'm going to come in over the top now with the ash grey first of all. I can see it's going on smoother, but for me it's still not going on smooth enough. here there's a lovely build up now. It's starting to feel creamy and buttery, which is what I'm aiming for. I don't tend to put in the details until I reach that point, so hence I carry on working quite fast, quite loose, because each time you do a sweep of pencil, it becomes more refined. You get your placement perfect as well. Again, if you want to work a small area at a time, you can do. I usually work all over at the same time like this, and gradually the whole piece then starts to build and come to fruition, so to speak, all at the same time. Really grainy here. Yep. So again, what I'll do is I will just not be scared. I'll go back in with my darks, back up through with my mid-tones, up to my lights, and then I'll be by that point it should be lovely and creamy, just like it's starting to be over here, and I'll be able to go in, super sharp pencils, a few flicks, and then I'll just add in the details at that point. But at the moment we are a few layers away from achieving that. Yeah, it's starting to build now, lovely, up here, everywhere else, especially down here. If I come in down here, it is really grainy still, because we still need to come in and push those layers. I'll just zoom in again in a second. Okay, so zoom in a little bit more, so you can just throw this bit. There we go. So you can see the tooth still. Here, starting to smooth a little bit as that tooth fills. Here it's really grainy still. Up here it's starting to feel lovely now. But when people say, oh, what should it look like? It's a personal choice. Now to me, I want to fill that grain. I want to fill that tooth. I want to take away that graininess. I want to create beautiful soft textured fur, just like my model. I want it to be lovely and soft and fluffy. I don't want that gritty grain showing through, and that is why I will push through my layers, and that's what I teach my students as well. So I hope that helps some of you. It helps you overcome some of your fears of using the Pastelmat as well. Just trust it, just go for it. Okay, so thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed this little tutorial tip, please don't forget to subscribe down in the bottom corner. Thank you very much.